"Will you sniff my perfume forever?" she flirted. The black professional perfumer replied, "You're my favorite scent." That moment turned out to be something bigger for the both of them. The smell of rose and sandalwood filled the air inside Pure Scent's research center in downtown Boston. It was a quiet afternoon, the kind where you could hear the soft hum of machines and the gentle clinking of glass vials. Isaac DeAndre stood at his testing table wearing a clean white lab coat, his eyes fixed on a small bottle that held the newest fragrance sample. He leaned closer, took a slow breath, and closed his eyes. In that moment, the whole world seemed to disappear, leaving only the scent. At 28, Isaac was already one of the best fragrance experts in the company. His nose could separate thousands of different smells, from the smallest drop of jasmine to the faintest touch of lemon. To others, it looked like magic. But for Isaac, it was just how his brain worked. He had lived with this gift since childhood, when he could smell a storm coming before anyone else or tell what food his mother was cooking from outside the house. His grandmother used to call him her special boy. She would smile and say, "Isaac, you were born with a gift that can turn air into stories." Those words stayed with him, even now, years after she was gone. He often thought about her as he worked, wondering what she would say if she saw him in this big laboratory, surrounded by shelves of perfumes from all over the world. "Isaac, we need your report on the new floral series," said Dr. Julia, the lab director, walking past with her tablet in hand. "I'll have it ready in 20 minutes, Isaac replied, his voice calm and steady. He had learned to live by a quiet rhythm. His life was work, sleep, and the same every day. The people around him respected him, but very few really understood him. When you could smell every detail about someone, even what soap they used or what mood they were in, it made normal conversations hard. People often called him too serious, but he just preferred silence. In silence, scents spoke clearer than words. That evening, as most workers packed up to leave, Isaac stayed behind. The lab was his second home. He picked up a small vial labeled Rose Harmony, opened it, and gently waved it under his nose. The scent was bright but too sweet. It needed something deeper, something to give it strength. He made a note in his book, then reached for another bottle. "Still here?" Ryan, his colleague, asked from across the room. "Just finishing up," Isaac said, smiling faintly. Ryan laughed. "Man, you live here. Go home sometimes." When Ryan left, the lab became quiet again. Isaac liked it that way. He often wondered if this was all his life would ever be, surrounded by scents but missing the warmth of another person. The next morning, Pure Scents held an important client presentation. The company was preparing to launch a new fragrance line for one of the biggest beauty brands in Boston, Kayla Cosmetics. Everyone was nervous because this meeting could mean a $1 million deal. Isaac sat at the far end of the polished table, his reports neatly arranged. He wasn't a marketing person, but his analysis always mattered. Every product they launched passed through his nose first. The doors opened, and the client team walked in. Leading them was a woman whose presence made the entire room turn quiet. She looked powerful, graceful, and confident. Her soft brown hair framed her face perfectly, and her eyes carried the calm authority of someone used to being listened to. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Kayla Delacroix, founder and CEO of Kayla Cosmetics," she said, shaking hands around the table. When she reached Isaac, her handshake was firm, her smile gentle but sharp enough to hold attention. Isaac nodded politely, but the moment she came close, he noticed her fragrance. It was strong, expensive, carefully layered with rose, vanilla, and musk, yet something about it felt off. It didn't match her. He didn't say a word, but Kayla caught his pause. "You're the scent expert, right?" she asked with a curious smile. "Yes, I analyze the components and quality of fragrances," he answered. "They told me you have a special nose," she said playfully. "Can you tell what I'm wearing?" Isaac hesitated, aware that everyone was listening. "It's a custom blend, mostly floral, with vanilla and sandalwood base," he said carefully. Kayla tilted her head. "And what do you think of it?" There was silence in the room. Isaac looked around at his colleagues who were waiting to see if he would dare to say more. Finally, he spoke. "It's beautiful, But it doesn't fit you. The air seemed to freeze. Kayla's brows lifted slightly. Doesn't fit me? She asked softly. Isaac felt a rush of heat rise in his neck. I mean, it's technically perfect, but it doesn't reflect your personality, he said. The others shifted uncomfortably in their seats, unsure if he had just insulted the company's most important client. But instead of getting angry, Kayla smiled. That's an interesting answer. Tell me, what kind of fragrance do you think fits me? Isaac took a slow breath. Something with more balance, he said. Less sweet, more confident. Maybe cedar or vetiver, something that shows strength without losing grace. Kayla leaned closer, intrigued. You think you can read people through scent, don't you? I read chemistry, Isaac said quietly. Every person has a scent that tells a story. A good perfume should match that story, not fight it. For a moment, Kayla said nothing. Then she laughed, light and genuine. You're not like the others, Mr. DeAndre. Most people tell me what I want to hear. You tell me what I need to know. The room relaxed again as the meeting continued. But even after it ended, Isaac couldn't shake the memory of her laughter or the spark in her eyes. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. Later that evening, Isaac sat in his small Beacon Hill apartment, surrounded by shelves of tiny bottles and notebooks. He tried to focus on his notes, but his mind kept returning to her. He opened his sketchpad and, without thinking, began to write down a fragrance idea inspired by Kayla Delacroix herself. Top notes: lemon and black pepper for energy. Heart notes: green florals with a hint of jasmine. Base notes: cedar and white musk for strength and calm. He didn't know why he was doing it. It wasn't for work. It was personal. Something about her had moved him in a way he couldn't explain. The next day, as Isaac was reviewing his samples, his phone rang. It was Dr. Julia. Isaac, I just got off the phone with Kayla Delacroix, she said. Isaac's heart skipped slightly. Is there a problem? Not at all, Dr. Julia replied. In fact, she's requesting you personally. She wants you to work with her on her company's next fragrance line. Isaac blinked in surprise. Me? Yes, you, she said. Your honesty impressed her. She believes you can help her create something real, something that truly represents her brand. When the call ended, Isaac stood quietly for a long moment. He wasn't sure what this new opportunity would bring, but something deep inside told him his life was about to change forever. And for the first time in years, he felt the faint scent of excitement in the air. 3 days later, Isaac found himself standing in front of the tall glass doors of Kayla Cosmetics' headquarters in the Cambridge district. The building looked modern and elegant, with soft white walls, flower-shaped chandeliers, and a faint mix of floral fragrances drifting through the air. He took a deep breath before walking in, adjusting his suit jacket and carrying a small case that held his scent-testing tools. A young receptionist greeted him with a polite smile. Mr. DeAndre, Miss Delacroix is expecting you. Please, go right in. Isaac nodded and stepped into the office. The space was a mix of business and art. Exposed brick walls met with smooth marble floors, and small bottles of perfume were neatly arranged across the large table. Behind it, Kayla stood by the window, sunlight falling gently across her face. She turned when she heard the door open. Isaac, I'm glad you came, she said warmly. Thank you for inviting me, he replied. Kayla smiled, walking toward him with confidence. After our meeting, I couldn't stop thinking about what you said, that my perfume doesn't fit me. You were right. It made me realize something about my company, too. We've been trying to fit an image that isn't truly ours. Isaac listened quietly as she continued. I want to change that. I want to create a signature scent that represents who we really are, not what others expect us to be. Something bold, smart, and honest. And I want you to help me create it. Isaac hesitated. I'm an analyst, not a perfumer. I study formulas and test quality. I don't design scents. Kayla crossed her arms, a small smile playing on her lips. You might not design them, but you understand them better than anyone I've met. You can see the story behind a scent, and that's what I need. He looked into her eyes and saw determination mixed with warmth. Against his better judgment, he nodded. All right, let's do it. Over the next few weeks, Isaac visited Kayla's office almost every day. He observed her work routine, her stress, her laughter, even the subtle shifts in her mood. He studied how different fragrances reacted to her skin, how her natural scent changed during the day, and how emotions affected her body chemistry. Kayla often teased him. "You really are like a scientist of the soul," she said one afternoon while testing a sample. Isaac smiled shyly. "Fragrance is personal. It's like emotion, it changes with who we are." They spent hours experimenting with combinations. Kayla would sit by the testing table, eyes closed, while Isaac mixed small drops of oils and extracts. Sometimes she frowned, sometimes she smiled. And when she smiled, it made him forget the rest of the world. One evening, after another long day of testing, Kayla leaned back in her chair, tired but happy. "You know, I didn't expect this to be so deep," she said softly. "I thought we were just creating perfume, but it feels like we're creating a piece of me." Isaac looked at her, the warm, golden light from the window highlighting her face. "That's exactly what it is," he said quietly. "Perfume should tell your story." Their eyes met for a moment that lasted longer than it should. She looked away first, smiling nervously. "You really have a way with words, Isaac." He chuckled lightly. "I'm better with scents." But the line between their work and something more personal was beginning to blur. By the third week, people in the industry started whispering. Word had spread that Kayla Delacroix had hired the famous scent expert from Pure Scents Labs to work privately with her. Some said it was a business collaboration, others said it was something more. At first, Isaac ignored the gossip. But when Dr. Julia called him into her office at Pure Scents, he realized it was becoming serious. "Isaac, I need to talk to you about your project with Kayla Cosmetics," she said. "Yes. What about it?" "There are rumors," Dr. Julia said carefully. "People are questioning your professionalism. They think your judgment might be influenced by personal feelings." Isaac frowned. "That's ridiculous. My work is about chemistry, not feelings." "I know that," Dr. Julia said softly, "but others might not. You need to be careful. The fragrance world is small. Reputation matters." Isaac nodded, trying to stay calm. "Thank you, Dr. Julia. I'll handle it." That night, he met Kayla at a quiet wine lounge in Charlestown, far from the busy city. The place smelled of old wood, sweet fruit, and candle wax. Soft music played in the background. Kayla noticed his expression the moment he sat down. "You look troubled," she said gently. "People are talking," he replied. "They think this project is more than it is." Kayla tilted her head. "And is it?" Isaac froze for a moment. "It's professional," he said quickly. She smiled faintly. "That's not what I asked." He sighed, rubbing his hands together. "Kayla, I respect you. I admire your vision, but I can't let people think I'm crossing lines." "Isaac," she said softly, "you don't have to explain yourself. I know who you are. But let me ask you something. Do you ever get tired of living by everyone else's rules?" He looked at her in silence. "You spend your life analyzing people through scent," she continued. "You see their truth before they even open their mouths. But when it comes to yourself, you hide behind caution. You say you work with chemistry, not feelings, but I think feelings are the strongest chemistry there is." Her words struck him deeper than he expected. He didn't know how to respond. He only knew that she wasn't wrong. She leaned slightly forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Tell me something, Isaac. When you're around me, do you notice the perfume I'm wearing? Or do you notice me?" His throat went dry. He tried to speak, but the words came slowly. "I notice both." Kayla smiled, her eyes soft. "Then maybe that's where science ends and something real begins." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was heavy, filled with unspoken emotion. Finally, Isaac stood up, needing space to breathe. "We should finish the project first," he said quietly. Kayla looked down at her wine, then back up at him. "All right," she said calmly. "But you can't deny what's happening between us, Isaac. You just don't want to admit it." He didn't answer. He only nodded slightly and walked out of the lounge, the scent of oak and red wine following him into the cool Boston night. That evening, as he sat in his Beacon Hill apartment, Isaac couldn't stop thinking about her. He thought about the way she laughed, the way she challenged him, and the way her perfume always seemed to carry a piece of her heart. He knew crossing that line could cost him everything: his career, his reputation, the respect he had built, but his heart had already begun to wander where logic couldn't follow. And deep down, he feared that the chemistry he had spent his whole life studying had finally found its most dangerous experiment. The morning air in Boston was cool and clear as Isaac walked into Kayla's office at Kayla Cosmetics. It had been almost a month since they started working together, and in that short time, the fragrance they were creating had turned into more than a project. It had become a piece of both of them. But that morning, something was different. The moment Isaac stepped inside, he noticed Kayla sitting by her desk with her phone in hand, her expression tight. Her usual confidence was gone. "Kayla," he said quietly, "what's wrong?" She looked up at him, trying to smile but failing. "There's an article," she said. "Fragrance Weekly just called me." Isaac frowned. "An article about what?" "About us," she said. "They're writing a story suggesting that this project isn't professional. They're questioning your credibility, and they're questioning my judgment for working with you." Isaac froze. "Who told them that?" "I don't know," she replied. "Someone leaked that we've been meeting privately, that we've been spending long hours together, that you're too close to me." He felt a wave of frustration. "That's not true," he said firmly. "We've done nothing wrong." "I know," she said softly. "But that doesn't matter to the media. They only care about what sells." Isaac sat down slowly, running his hand over his face. "This could destroy both our reputations," he said. Kayla sighed. "When the reporter asked if our relationship was purely professional, I said yes. But, Isaac," she paused and met his eyes, "I don't know if that's true anymore." The room fell silent. Her words hung in the air like perfume after a single spray, soft, heavy, impossible to ignore. Isaac took a deep breath. "Kayla, I care about you. But if this story spreads, it could ruin everything we've worked for." "What if I don't care about that?" she said, standing up. "What if I care more about being real than being perfect? You once told me a perfume should tell a person's story. I want my story to be honest." He looked at her, his heart heavy with conflict. For years, he had built walls around himself, letting no one close enough to shake his balance. But now, every wall felt like it was crumbling. "If we cross that line," he said quietly, "we can't go back." Kayla stepped closer, her voice soft but steady. "Then maybe we shouldn't go back." He stared at her for a long moment. Her scent filled the room, warm, floral, mixed with a trace of cedar. It was the fragrance they had created together. And in that instant, he realized that her scent had become a part of him. Later that day, Isaac sat alone at his desk in Beacon Hill, staring at his notes. The words blurred together. The thought of his name being dragged through gossip made his stomach twist. But even through the fear, he knew running away wasn't the answer. He picked up his phone and dialed the number printed on the message from Fragrance Weekly. "This is Isaac DeAndre," he said when a woman answered. "I heard you're writing an article about me and Kayla Delacroix." "Yes," the woman said. "I'm Laura, the editor. I wanted to confirm a few details about your collaboration." Isaac's voice was calm but clear. "If you're going to write about us, I want to give you the truth myself." There was a short pause. "Go ahead," she said. "I was hired by Kayla Delacroix to create a new fragrance," he began. "We worked closely, yes, but what we built wasn't just perfume. It was understanding. Every scent tells a story, and we were trying to tell one about honesty, strength, and emotion. People think professionalism means feeling nothing, but real creation needs connection." The woman's tone softened. "Are you saying you have feelings for her?" Isaac closed his eyes for a second. "I'm saying that caring about someone doesn't destroy your work. It makes it better. I respect her. I admire her. And yes, I care for her deeply. But that's what made this fragrance possible." When he hung up, his hands trembled slightly, but his heart felt lighter. For the first time, he had spoken without hiding behind caution. The next few days were filled with silence. No calls from the lab, no messages from Kayla. Then, on a Tuesday morning, Dr. Julia stopped by his desk holding a magazine. "You should read this," she said with a small smile. On the cover of Fragrance Weekly was a photo of a clear glass perfume bottle labeled Times, authentic Times, the fragrance Isaac and Kayla had created together. The headline read, Asterisk, Breaking Barriers in Scent, How Honesty and Connection Are Changing the Industry. Asterisk. Isaac flipped through the pages, reading the article. It wasn't a scandal piece at all. It praised their partnership, calling it a new way of merging science and emotion in fragrance creation. Dr. Julius smiled faintly. Looks like you handled that pretty well. Later that afternoon, Isaac went to Kayla's office. She was standing by the window again, holding the same magazine, smiling. You read it? She asked. I did, he said, smiling back. You were right. The truth really does smell better. Kayla laughed softly, stepping closer to him. The International Fragrance Federation called this morning, she said. They want us to present our process at their conference in Chicago next month. Isaac blinked in surprise. That's huge. It is, she said, her voice warm. But I won't go without you. We started this together. He nodded. Then we'll finish it together. Weeks later, under the bright lights of a grand conference hall in Chicago, Isaac and Kayla stood side by side before a crowd of experts, investors, and perfumers from around the world. On the table before them stood their creation, a crystal bottle filled with soft, golden liquid. Isaac spoke first, his voice calm and clear. For years, I believed fragrance was just chemistry, molecules, data, numbers. But I was wrong. Fragrance is human, it's emotion, it's connection. When science meets sincerity, something new happens. That's what this scent represents. Kayla continued. This fragrance, which we named Times Authentic Asterisk, is more than a product. It's proof that honesty can be beautiful, that collaboration can turn into inspiration, and that sometimes what we create together can change us forever. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. And for the first time, Isaac didn't feel nervous or small. He felt proud. After the presentation, they walked through Willow Park, the Chicago wind cool against their faces. The scent of their own fragrance drifted softly in the air between them. Kayla stopped and looked up at him, her eyes glowing under the city lights. Do you regret telling the world about us? Isaac smiled. Not even for a second. I spent years hiding behind work, afraid to feel. But this, he gestured at her, at the city, at the perfume in her hand. This is what living smells like. She laughed gently. You still talk like a scent poet. He chuckled. And you still smell like everything I never knew I needed. They stood there for a moment, quiet, just breathing in the evening air. Then Kayla spoke softly. So, Isaac, tell me the truth. Will you smell my perfume forever? He took her hand, his smile warm. Forever and always. 'Cause you're my favorite scent, Kayla. And as they walked away beneath the shining city lights, the fragrance of love, truth, and courage followed them, reminding both that sometimes the sweetest scent in life is simply the one that feels real.